You're muted.
I will not be muted this time. Hello, how are you doing? My name is Ryan Mosser. That is one of my best friends, David Cahoon, and this is the Commissioner's Couch Fantasy Football Podcast. Tonight's episode feels special, I think. We've officially reached episode 20 of the show, David. Insane.
20?
20
Wow.
total over the first two seasons. Full installments of breaking down film, challenging narratives, talking about fantasy football, building real understanding, especially for this second season, of this 2026 draft class. Season 2 has been rolling for 7 straight weeks now, which is crazy. Every step of the way, we've been, stacking evaluations, sharpening our process, and giving you the kind of detail you simply don't get anywhere else, if I could humbly say so myself. If you've been following along, you know how deep we've been, already have been running this. We've opened up the season with 2 full episodes of quarterbacks, 12 passers altogether from the 2026 class, 12 different developmental arcs, and a ton of conversation about traits and stuff like that. We shifted into 3 weeks, a full marathon of the 2026 rookie wide receivers, breaking down 18 total receivers in the 2026 upcoming class. Again, all with completely different roles and, usage profiles. And then last week, we finally cracked open the running back room. We went full speed ahead. Tonight, we're going to keep that momentum going, David. This is the part of the season where things are always fun. I'm so excited to talk about these prospects. This board's starting to widen. The styles are getting more diverse, and this is, where you really start to see how teams will build their backfields. So tonight, we are going to dive into the following rookie running backs. Do you want to go over them, David?
Yeah, sure. So we've got 6 again, as usual. You've probably caught on to our rhythm that we have here. First one is going to be Demond Claiborne, running back from Wake Forest. Mm-hmm. The second one is going to be Seth McGowan from Kentucky. Third one's going to be Le'Veon Moss from Texas A&M. Fourth one's going to be Jaden Ott from Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Fifth one is Mike Washington Jr. from Arkansas.
Yep.
I almost said Arkansas. I'm like, that's not the correct pronunciation. And then the last one is Roman Hemby, running back from Indiana.
Yeah. These guys, 6 new backs, different body types, completely different paths to NFL roles. And just like always, we're sticking with the same trait-driven grading model that we've implemented. We're going to look over, what we look for is vision, burst, processing, contact balance. My dog is barking upstairs for some reason. Receiving value, pass protection, athletic profile, the whole package. No hype, no shortcuts, no recycled narratives, just honest, detailed evaluation based on, the tape that we've seen and what is actually shown on tape. So settle in, grab your drink of choice, kick back on the Commissioner's Couch, because episode 20, David,
2-0.
2-0. It's starting right now, and it's time to break down another wave of running backs in the 2026 NFL draft.
Let's do it.
Yes, real quick. Before we dive into the show, some of you who are here from the Voice of the Land already heard about this, but I'm going to mention this again. I want to take a moment to talk about something that means a whole lot to me and my family. If you've been following along specifically on Twitter or the last couple episodes of shows I've put out, you already know that my 4-year-old son, James, is basically a wildlife encyclopedia, is competing in the Ranger Rec Junior Ranger competition. This contest is all about celebrating kids who love nature, who love exploring, and who love learning about the world around them. And that is, James to his core. The kid wakes up talking about animals, goes to bed talking about animals, spends every minute in between trying to teach me about, something new about animals. Voting in this competition is officially open. You can help him move to the next round. We made it super easy. If you're watching the show, there's a QR code right on the right of your screen, Dave, if you want to put that up there. There's one right there. First of all, you can scan that one. Just scan it, and it'll take you straight to his voting page. You can vote once per day for free. It just takes maybe 10 seconds. If you see any of the videos that I posted about my son breaking down his animals, talking about their habitats, explaining animal behavior, rattling off, facts like a tiny David Attenborough, you know exactly why we entered him. He loves this stuff and he lives it. So please, if you want to support him, hit that QR code, cast your vote, and help him push him to one step closer to something we would, truly never forget. It would really mean the world to us. David, you can put the other QR code up at the top for me.
Yeah, I got the small one up on.
Yeah, so anytime Other than the ones that we're going to do for our sponsors, that'll be up there. Please, we'd really appreciate it. So
yeah. The flamingo video of your son though is my favorite. He's
really, I love the parrot
so
one.
detailed.
It's crazy. He's obsessed. It's so fun to watch. Obviously, I'm a hiker. I try to get over 2,000 miles a year hiking, and I've been taking him for the past 2 years, and he's learning about mushrooms and animals, and just I've been teaching him. He's now teaching me, so it's pretty crazy. So it's really fun. So
yeah, he's a good kid.
I'd really be very
grateful. Go vote.
Yeah, that QR code up top is for the Junior Ranger competition there for James. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, speaking of QR codes, and
sorry, if you're not watching live, you can go at Dynasty CLE on Twitter and just I tweet about it several times a day, so you can find the link there. I'm being annoying, but oh well, get over it.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Sorry.
So speaking of QR codes and following things, if you have not subscribed to our podcast on anywhere that you get your podcast from, you are missing out. We go live every week. We are really trying to give you a heads up and a huge advantage heading into next fantasy football season. And so with it now finally starting to become warmer out, the draft is just around the corner. We're finally in April. This is where the time is made to become good at fantasy football. And we want to help you get there. So please subscribe to us on all the channels that you get podcasts from: Apple Podcasts, Spotify. What are some of the other ones? Boom Player, Amazon Podcasts.
And literally anywhere
Audible.
And everywhere that you can stream your podcast, we're there. And it's a great place to be, as David has said several times, so you can find us. Go find us at the Commish Couch or the Commissioner's Couch podcast. Anywhere. Please subscribe, follow us, do a 5-star review, all of it. Sorry, I didn't mean to take you over there, David.
No, you're good. What he said. We're just trying to be where you are and help you get an edge up. So
And if you can't watch live, that's the perfect time, to go on Spotify, listen. I love listening to podcasts on 2X and just getting through as many as possible. I even listen to local Cleveland radio, like The Fan, on 2X on Spotify instead, just because I can get a whole 4-hour show done in an hour and a half. So pretty nice. Go check us out.
Yeah. All right. Well, our first sponsor is going to be our network sponsor, and we are with the Inside Edge Network, and our sponsor is Alley Rose Fragrances. Our network sponsor is Alley Rose Fragrances. Discover Alley Rose's collection of handcrafted candles and body mist made with clean, minimal ingredients. Every product is thoughtfully crafted and created in small batches, free from harmful toxins, for mindful everyday indulgence. Head over to alleyrosefragrances.com. You can see it on your screen right now. To order using the special promo code InsideEdge20 to receive a special discount. Again, that is alleyrosefragrances.com, and use the Inside Edge Network promo code InsideEdge20 now.
Yes, we are also brought to you by Massaro Moments Photography. They are a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland who specialize in providing the best wedding photos in Northeast Ohio. Check out their website at MassaroMomentsPhotography.com. That's MOSSOR, momentsphotography.com. It's right there on your screen. David, how you doing, brother?
Dude, I'm good. It's so nice out today, and I took my dog for a walk before our podcast, which was nice, but I'm tired. Work has been a lot lately. It's just, I'm ready for some warm weather and some relaxation. How about you?
I hear you. Yeah. 3 days in a row. Looks like it's going to be 70 degrees, which is refreshing to say the least. Hopefully, usually the rule is 3 days in a row over 60, you get some mushrooms popping up, some morels. So we'll see. I think it's a little early, especially for Northern Ohio, but if this rain's helping, maybe I can find a couple babies out there. I'm excited. I'm going to go find some mushrooms this weekend. So
yeah. Get a little preseason mushroom season in.
I'm ready, dude. I'm so excited. I'm a big mushroom guy.
Yeah. All right. Well, shall we talk through where we're at in our process?
Let's do it, brother.
All right. So we are still in our preseason, or I guess pre-draft series that we're going through right now. So we are going to talk through, and we have talked through a lot of different position groups for fantasy football. So we talked about the quarterbacks already. We covered 12 different quarterbacks in this draft. We have some sleepers that we like too. If you missed those, go ahead and watch them or listen to them again. They are worth it. And then we also covered wide receivers. So we spent time covering 18 different wide receivers. Honestly, we could have spent time covering 50. This draft class has a lot of really good and deep wide receivers that will be, I think, relevant come fantasy football season. And right now where we're at is we are in week 2 of covering the running backs. So last week we spent our first week covering 6 running backs, all various different styles and abilities. And really, I think there was one that set himself apart between everybody else. But this week we're kind of diving in a little bit deeper, going into some of the more hidden gems of this running back class. Maybe some guys who could surprise people landing in the right spots. And it's going to be a good time. So I'm really excited to dive into them. And then after we're done with the running backs, we'll have another episode next week. And then right before that, after that, we will cover the tight ends. We'll just do one episode of that because the tight ends this year are not super deep. There's some good names to cover, but we're not going to go in too deep there. And then after that, we'll be at the NFL draft where we will be live to cover all the draft things
I'm so
on
excited.
the first round. That's going to be so fun.
Excited. Yeah, we are looking into getting some special guests. We might have some prizes. We're going to break down. We're going to be for the whole first round. We're going to break down every prospect, offense or defense. It doesn't necessarily, defensive players, obviously, unless you do an IDP, aren't necessarily important for your fantasy team, but the impact for the team in general could, you could spin it in a way for fantasy football in that way. And we might have some guests during those defensive picks as well. Nonetheless, it's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to have a ton of breakdowns. Got to come check us out on, for the Commissioner's Couch, featured by the Inside Edge Network. It's just going to be a blast. I'm so excited.
And we're going to break down all the players that get drafted, how it's going to impact fantasy, specifically the offensive players. So it'll be a good time. Definitely save it on your calendars because it'll be fun.
Yep. All right. As we shift into the next phase of tonight's show, it's a good moment to appreciate how much ground we've already covered this offseason, which David has already done. Why do I keep doing this, David? I write it out as if I'm going to tell, and you always do. We're going to stay in the backfield, okay? Running backs bring a different kind of complexity, I think, to the evaluation process. It's a position, I've said this before, that it's defined by instincts, efficiency, the ability to create when, structure breaks down. Some guys, win with burst, someone with power, someone with vision, someone with versatility. In the 2026 class is a little bit of everything. And this is where the, team identity starts to take shape, where you really see a different skill set, that translate into specific roles for Sundays. I'm ready to do it. Let's get into the second wave of the running backs here. Let's go for number 1, Dave.
Do it. Number 1.
Number 1.
Love it.
Number 1, we already talked about him, but Demond Claiborne, running back out of Wake Forest. Mosser, where do you have him ranked on your running back list?
I have him as RB15.
RB15? Okay, I have him at RB11, so pretty close.
Pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, why don't you just give us a little bit of a glimpse of who Claiborne is? Claiborne. I don't know why I said Claiborne. Tell us what his college career was like, and I guess what his journey has been so far.
Yeah, so he's one of those backs who's carved out, his reputation the hard way, I'd say. He's earned every single snap. He came to Wake Forest as a tough, competitive 3-star recruit. From the moment he stepped onto campus, he showed, the coaching staff that he wasn't just another depth piece. He worked his way into this, rotation early, and each season he added more polish to his game. What stands out, I think, about his career is how much responsibility he handled despite not being the biggest guy in the room. Wake Forest's offense often put him in situations where he had to create his own yardage. He consistently answered the call each time. His vision sharpened, his patience improved. He became one of the most dependable backs in the ACC. A lot of coaches have rated by his maturity, his preparation, the way he elevates the run game, even, when the blocking isn't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
He's the definition of a self-made player. I think he's steady, reliable, and always trending upwards. So,
Yeah, I agree. I think reliable is a good word there, and steady I think is really good. He's never somebody I feel like who's going to like jump off of the tape for you, but he's just got that steady like consistency to his presence, I feel like. So how do you feel like he has grown over his time in college?
Am I muted?
No, I hear you.
Sorry. Gosh. I think he's the classic zone slasher. He's compact. He's an agile runner who thrives on timing, leverage, the quick decision making. Every single year he got better. Every single year he earned what he put in. His game is built around sharp footwork and the ability to slip through tight spaces before defenders can react. He's not necessarily a bruiser. He's not a pure burner, but he's a rhythm runner who wins with efficiency. At his best, I think, when they run inside zone and outside zone concepts where he can, press the line, read the flow, and make a decisive one-cut transition that gets him downhill. His burst is immediate. His lateral agility is clean, and he rarely wastes steps. When he hits his crease, he accelerates with enough juice to flip the field position. I also think he's a natural mover in space. He's got great balance, pacing, body control that all allow him to navigate through traffic without losing momentum. He's the type of back where, I think he keeps the offense on schedule. Like I said, he's smooth, controlled, and consistently productive.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. So what do you think are some of his weaknesses that he'll have as he transitions into the NFL?
Yeah, he's not built to overpower defenders. Square contacts are going to stall him most of the time. And he's not someone who's going to push piles on his own. He's his long speed, I think, is solid, but it's not game breaking. He's more of a chunk play runner than a home run threat. He's going to get caught from behind a little bit here and there. Pass protection is still a work in progress as well. He's definitely willing. Of course, all these guys are going to be willing going into the NFL, but his anchor can get compromised by bigger linebackers, and he'll need technical refinement to earn third down trust. But I think he's got advanced vision for his size. He's got great short area burst and lateral agility with that as well. Competitive contact balance. We'll see how that translates in the NFL, because he's not necessarily big. He's 5'10", 195 ish. And he's also reliable in receiving as well. He's got clean hands. He's got decently smooth transitions, enough quickness to separate from linebackers as well. So for fantasy relevance, I think he could be something.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that there's definitely some agility and mobility to him.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that there's a chance. So how would you project him for fantasy relevancy in year one?
The biggest adjustment for him is going to be dealing with interior NFL speed. The windows he hit in college will close faster. He'll need to lean even more on his processing and footwork to stay efficient in the NFL. I think his game is built on exactly those traits, so that's some good news. I think he's the type of back who becomes a sneaky fantasy asset because he checks a lot of boxes that coaches love. He's efficient, he's decisive, he brings real value on passing downs, which is important in the NFL. That combination keeps him on the field, and opportunity is everything in fantasy football. I don't think he's the kind of player who needs 20 touches to matter necessarily. Give him 10, 14 touches in a heavy zone, offense, and I think he'll give you steady production with occasional spike weeks. And obviously his receiving ability adds a safe floor for him. His vision makes him a natural fit for modern schemes. I don't think he'll necessarily be ever a full-blown workhorse in the NFL. RB2, RB3 who sneaks into lineups and quietly racks up points once in a while. In the right landing spot, especially one that leans on wide zone concepts, he could outperform his draft slot in a big way, though. So,
yeah, I agree. I think there is a road to relevancy in year one for him. I think it's uphill, but I think there is a road for relevancy. So the player comp that I have for him would be Tyjae Spears, the running back that's in Tennessee right now. Talk about a similar size frame, somebody who can make people miss, looks pretty agile, and also is a good receiving running back. Was never really able to take over as that running back one that people kind of were hoping for, but still had some decent, I guess, ability, maybe not fantasy ability, but football ability. So I think for ideal landing spot for fantasy football when it comes to it would be a team where they just lost a very good running back who is very productive in them, both in the running game and the passing game, and to where he can kind of help fill hole that was left from that passing game running back, and that would be the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
Okay. Travis Etienne just went into the New Orleans Saints. He was pretty much a huge part of that offense, and I think he's going to be missed a lot. And he was also really, really fantasy relevant. He was really dynamic in the run game, but also was really, really a huge part of that passing game as they really became competitive down the stretch last year. And so I think you see somebody like Claiborne, and you immediately think, okay, this guy can be a check down Charlie for why do I forget his name again? Trevor Lawrence. Wow. It's been a long week. And so, yeah, you can see him kind of filling half of that void that Travis Etienne left, being that pass catching back, but still being somebody that can be efficient in the run game, and help that team kind of fill that hole.
I don't hate it. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Bashal Tutin, they're going to add something. Someone in the draft probably. That's a big drop, and him and I think LeQuint Allen is the other guy. I don't think necessarily they're going to be the huge 1-2 punch. We'll see. I mean, Bashal Tutin looked good in the red zone, obviously, last year, but I don't think he's going to be a 3-down workhorse. So, yeah, they're definitely going to look to add somebody.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, shall we get on to number 2?
Number 2, bro. Let's do it.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2, Seth McGowan, running back from Kentucky. He is my number 9 on my board. What is he on yours?
He's my RB 29.
29.
29.
Nice.
29?
What's 29? I love New Girl. All right. Well, tell us a little bit about Seth McGowan, why you have him ranked so low, and why he was so, I guess, overvalued at Kentucky.
Yeah, I think his story is one of the most widening paths in the entire class. He actually started at Oklahoma as a relatively highly regarded recruit, flashed early, and then stepped away from the program and rebuilt his career piece by piece. He went through Butler Community College, then resurfaced at New Mexico State, and then eventually found his way to Kentucky. Every stop he showed growth. I think what stands out much is how much more polished I think he became over time. By the time he got to Kentucky, he looked like a veteran. He was patient, physical, I think much more fully control of his game. A lot of coaches praised his maturity, toughness, the way he adapted to different systems. Obviously, he went from program to program there, really rebuilt his career. He's played in spread looks, gap-heavy structures, zone-based offenses, and he's handled all of it with professionalism. I think he, enters the draft as a seasoned, well-rounded back who's taken the long road, but made the most of every stop. Before we, talk about him strictly as a football player, I think it's important to acknowledge the off the field chapter of, that shaped the middle of a portion of his career. I did say that he stepped away from Oklahoma. I don't necessarily think that was probably voluntarily. Back in 2021, during his time at Oklahoma, Seth McGowan was involved in a serious incident that led to criminal charges. According to court records, the situation stemmed from a confrontation at an apartment where marijuana, cash, and personal items were stolen. And one of the individuals involved reportedly threatened the victims with a firearm. McGowan wasn't the one that was holding the weapon, but he was part of the group. And the legal consequences were significant. The initial charges were severe: robbery, conspiracy, assault related counts, but the case ultimately ended with Seth McGowan pleading guilty to a reduced charge of nighttime larceny. His sentence included a year of probation, community service requirements, mandatory NA and AA meetings, and financial penalties. It was a major setback for him personally and professionally, and it forced him to step away from Oklahoma entirely. That's how he ended up at Butler Community College in 2023. Like I said, essentially rebuilding his life and career from the ground up. And to his credit, I think he did do the work. He fulfilled the terms of the probation. He stayed out of further trouble. He used that time to reset his trajectory, his path back to Division I football, and eventually to Kentucky. That didn't happen by accident. It actually took accountability, structure, and the willingness to confront, consequences of his actions. So.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up because that's a big piece when you talk about these prospects is
For sure.
who are they even off the field?
Yeah.
Are they somebody that can be trusted? And I think it speaks a lot to his character of his willingness to own up to his mistakes, learn from it, grow from it, and also like work through the adversity. Thank you.
You did it this time. Sorry, I'll do it later.
Know. Oh man. But yeah, so I think that also plays into why he's an older prospect. He's coming into the draft at the age of 26.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I commend him for being honorable and honest about it, but it does definitely speak to his, I guess, draft stock.
Yeah, he's 6'1", 220, by the way, just so you can picture his frame.
All right. Well, give us a little bit about his archetype. What is he as a running back? And how does he fit into like a certain type of a mold?
Yeah, he's a long striding physical runner. I think he builds momentum quickly and forces defenders to absorb a lot of mass when he gets downhill. His style is upright, but efficient, I would say. He doesn't waste motion. Once he commits, he hits the crease with authority. He drives in concepts that, reward patience following decisive acceleration, inside zone, gap, duo, perimeter stretch. He's not necessarily a jittery mover, but he doesn't need to be. His game is built on controlled power, based off of stride efficiency and then the ability to stay balanced through contact. I think what makes him unique is how smooth he is for a bigger back. He can, subtly adjust, his path slightly laterally without losing posture, and make, compact cuts that, keep him on schedule. I think he's the type of runner who leans on timing, physicality rather than flash.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. He's an aggressive runner is kind of the word that I kept coming back to. He's got a good burst, good legs underneath him. So when you talk about like what are his weaknesses, how would you describe his weaknesses as a runner?
He's not the most sudden mover. I think that's going to be a little bit of a problem in the NFL. His lateral agility is efficient, but he's not going to string together multiple cuts in space. His long speed is solid, but it's not special by any means. He's more of a chunk play runner again, more than a breakaway threat. His upright style can occasionally expose his chest to contact, which is not good. And while he's a strong pass protector, he can overset and lose balance when he's late with his hands. I think the biggest challenge with him is going to be, operating in tighter NFL run lanes. College fronts gave him more room for, momentum. The pros won't. He'll need to lean on his processing and footwork in order to stay efficient. He does have stride-based acceleration, which I really like in the NFL. Powerful leg drive as well. Short yardage, red zone, finishing runs. He's going to check all his boxes. He's got a decent natural receiving ability. He can track the ball, catches relatively cleanly, and then I think he can actually run a decent route tree for his size as well. And I think one thing that is going to be great is also absorbing hits with outstanding contact balance. He's gonna absorb hits with minimal disruption and constantly stay upright through collisions because of his size. So
yeah, no, I agree, and I think that definitely shows up on tape. His willingness to kind of lean into that contact a little bit and kind of encourage it and I guess invite it in. So why does this matter for fantasy football? How does he become relevant for fantasy football?
Well, he's my 29 ranked running back for a reason. I think this is where context matters. Seth McGowan is a good football player. He's tough. He's reliable. He's well-rounded. But when I stack him against the rest of this class, I think a few things push him down my board. I don't think his ceiling is as high as the backs above him. He's steady, but he's not a dynamic creator. He's going to win with efficiency, not explosiveness. And in a class where several backs can tilt the field, I think that's going to matter. His athletic profile is more functional than special as well. He's smooth, he's strong, he's balanced, but he's not someone who's going to consistently generate explosive plays on his own. And in today's NFL, that's going to limit your upside. And then thirdly, I think, his style depends heavily on structure as well. He's going to thrive when the blocking is clean, the picture is defined, but when things get get muddy, he can struggle to create independently. So I think, that is the context that matters. For fantasy, I think he is the type of back who becomes a fantasy value because he does so many things well. I'm not gonna, he's big, he's strong, short yardage, red zone. He's going to be relevant. I think he's physical enough to earn early down work, reliable enough to stay on the field and pass protection, and polished enough to, as a receiver, to carve out third down snaps. And like I said, he's got a decent route tree. I think that combination is going to give him a path to meaningful touches, maybe not right away, but sooner than some will expect. I don't think he's a boom or bust runner, but he is a steady producer. He'll give you consistent yardage, goal line potential for sure. And like I said, sneaky receiving value. In the right offense, especially one that leans on inside zone, duo, gap, you could be flirting with RB2 production, I think. I don't necessarily think RB1, maybe if the matchup tips in his favor, but I don't know. It's just going to depend on what offense he gets in and what that room looks like. I think he is the definition of a high floor fantasy back who can outperform his draft slot if he lands in a system that values physicality and efficiency in the running game.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that the goal line work is where he will become most fantasy relevant in year one. He's just a big body that can break contact and get through the line to score touchdowns real easily. So when it comes to a player comp that I've got for him, this is a little bit of a throwback player, but I think there's a lot of similarities in the way that they play. But this would be Chris Carter, running back. Somebody who may not have been the most explosive player, may not have been the most, dynamic in the running back room, but somebody who was just an aggressive runner, ran downhill, had a decent amount of burst, and just broke tackles. He was somebody who wasn't just going to be stopped the first time that somebody touched him, but was just going to keep running because that's what he was really good at. So when we think about ideal landing spots, you talked about somewhere where the room's maybe not complete. They really rely on that zone duo type of a running style, and he can still find some opportunity in the pass game. I picked the Seattle Seahawks for this ideal landing spot, actually. A place where he can kind of compete to get that running back 2 role, because it looks like it's going to be Charbonnet right now as running back 1, but we'll see. Somewhere he can find his kind of niche as that goal line working back, but still kind of get some stuff out of the backfield. And just be like somebody who, hey, you need somebody to run, I'll run. And so I think the Seattle Seahawks, since they lost Kenneth Walker as their workhorse back, they're going to need to figure out that running back room. And I think somebody like a Seth McGowan could really step in and become a certain piece of that running back by committee style that they're probably going to try and do this year.
I like that.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Well, we've said this last week and the weeks before, but the Inside Edge Network and us here at the Commissioner's Couch, we are growing. We have a lot of fun new sponsors to get through. And so this first one is going to be brought to you by Fanatics. Hey, everyone. This is David from the Commissioner's Couch podcast. Fantasy football fans, you found the #1 destination for all the officially licensed football gear you will need this NFL season. The NFL shop from Fanatics.com features sportswear and accessories from brands like Nike and New Era, as well as NFL coolers, so you can head to the tailgate repping your team. If you're looking to add to your collection of tailgate gear, you need to check out our grilling items and coolers. With official player jerseys, polos, and hats, we've got enough gear to keep you repping your favorite NFL team throughout the whole season. Go to Fanatics.com by using the QR code on the screen right now to celebrate your fantasy football teams. Again, that's Fanatics.com, or use the QR code on the screen to buy all the gear you need to rep your team. Good luck.
Good luck.
All right. Hey, thank you. Good luck to you too. Fanatics.com. If you are interested in purchasing anything off their website, we have the QR code up in the corner of our screen. Go ahead and scan it. Yes, that way. It'll be a great place to really find any sort of NFL merch or anything you want. I've gotten lots of hoodies there. I'm sure you have too, Mosser. But yeah, scan the QR code. There's no code or anything, but yeah, just use that link.
Yep.
All right. Are we ready for number 3?
Number 3, my lord.
Number 3, my lord.
Number 3.
Number 3, we have Le'Veon Moss, running back from Texas A&M. All right, tell me, where is he at on your big board?
You tell me yours first.
Oh, I have him at number 10.
I have an RB5.
Ooh, all right, a little bit higher. Okay, so give me the breakdown. What was his college career like? Who is Le'Veon Moss?
Yeah, 5'11", 210. Didn't run at the combine, so we don't have official 40 time for him. He came into Texas A&M with a reputation for being one of the toughest, most physically imposing runners in the high school recruiting class. And over time, I think he lived up to every bit of that billing. Early in his career, he was part of a crowded backfield. Even in limited touches, you could see the raw ingredients. He showed power. He showed balance, willingness to finish rushes with relatively bad intentions. He ended up earning more work as his game matured. The wild, all power, no plan runner who was early on, gradually transforming into far more disciplined, calculated back. His footwork tightened up. His reads became cleaner. He started showing a level of patience that wasn't always there at the beginning. By the time he hit his final season, he looked like a completely early down back, someone who could handle volume. A little different there. Who am I, Eminem? Grind out tough yards, and set the tone for an offense. Texas and A&M staff, they consistently praise his work ethic, the physical edge that he brought to the room. He's the type of player who embraces contact, responsibility, and the dirty work, that a lot of backs shy away from. He does not shy away from that. So.
Yeah, I agree. He is a physical runner. So when you talk about molds and archetypes, how would you describe Le'Veon Moss? Does he fit any sort of mold that's already out there?
He's a downhill enforcer. He's compact, powerful, a runner who wants to get north immediately and make defenders feel every bit of his frame as well. I think his style's built on force and efficiency that consistently popped up on his tape. He doesn't dance, he doesn't drift, he doesn't waste steps. He when he sees daylight, he hits it with conviction. He's gone. He thrives in gap and duo concepts. A lot of these guys do. Where reads are defined and the physicality ramps up. He progresses the line with enough patience to let blocks develop. But like I said, once he commits, he lowers his pads and drives through contact, or he is he's just ready to go. He's got outstanding balance as well. He's great at absorbing hits, while keeping his posture, and always tries to fall forward as well.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a home run hitter, but he doesn't need to be as well. I think, his game is about attrition. He leans on, defenses, wears them down, forces them to tackle him over and over and over again. And by the fourth quarter, defenders start making business decisions and they might back off a little bit. So
yeah,
I really like that. So
Yeah, no, I agree. How would you say, or I guess what would you say would be one of his biggest learning curves when he transitions to the NFL? You're muted, by the way.
Why do I always do that? He's not a natural space mover. He's a functional receiver, but he's not someone who you're flexing out or designing mismatches for. His long speed is serviceable, but he's not going to run away from NFL safeties either. He also isn't the most creative runner I've noticed. He's efficient. He's decisive. He's not someone who's going to string together multiple cuts or manufacture explosive runs when the blocking breaks down. He's a read and react guy, just a one-time go. I think the biggest challenge for him and the next level will be proving that he can be more than just an early down hammer. The league values versatility, and while he's reliable in pass protection, he'll need to show that he can be a consistent receiving threat to stay on the field in all situations. Given that, I think he does have elite contact balance. His lower body is incredibly powerful. His leg drive is absolutely relentless. Short yardage, red zone. He's got decisive processing as well. Like I said, he can read leverage quickly and doesn't hesitate once he identifies a crease. Efficient footwork also. He's very compact. He's got controlled steps. Probably one of the best pass protectors in this draft. And then, and like I said, he's consistently forward. So he's, falling forward, gaining a yard, 3 yards after tackle, which is important in the NFL as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So how would you say that he would project as having fantasy relevancy in year 1?
I think he becomes a fantasy staple because coaches are going to trust him. He's built for volume, I think, which is important. He's built for short yardage work. Like I said, you need 3 yards. He's going to give you 3 and then fall forward for 5. He's built for red zone touches. I think that alone is going to give him weekly value. He's not going to give you 70-yard touchdowns by any means. He's not going to give you a ton of carries. He's going to give you steady production, 15 carries, 70 yards, a real shot of a score every week. If he lands in a physical, run-centric offense, I think he could have legitimate RB1 weeks in his range of outcomes. I'm not saying his rookie year, obviously, but once he gets established, I think he's the kind of player who might not be flashy on draft night, but mid-season fantasy managers are thrilled they grabbed them, or maybe he's a waiver wire wonder for 2026. So
I
like him
agree.
a lot.
Yeah, I like him a lot too. I think, that compact runner you talked about definitely describes him to a T, I feel like. So let me jump in and talk through the player comparison I have for him.
Okay.
And let me explain this too, because when this player came out, there was a lot of hype around him because of his physicality. But I don't think he ever lived up to it. And that would be AJ Dillon, a player who was
quad god.
He's got thicker thighs than Saquon. And so I think, there was a lot of hype around him being like, hey, this is a physical running back who's going to get a lot of needed dirty yards, maybe score a lot of goal line touchdowns. And he had a little bit of flashes of that, but really never lived up to the hype of it all. But I think Le'Veon Moss has that plus a little bit more. I would describe him as almost like a RB1B. Like he has that type of potential in the NFL to be hey, we have a running back A, but we need a running back B who's just a change of pace guy that can really just throw off defenses. And I think Le'Veon Moss can really step into a role like that really well. And so we need an ideal landing spot. You talked about physicality, somewhere where he can really lean into that, be that physical dominant runner that the organization loves and kind of builds culture around. And so I think an ideal landing spot for him would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. You talk about a team that really values being physical, that really values their running backs. You think about a Jerome Bettis, who was a really physical running back in the day. The Steelers really haven't had that in a while. They had some success with Le'Veon Bell recently, but since then, they've really not had a good running game. And I think the players that are currently in that room, it makes it kind of hey, whoever's our most physical guy can kind of be our running back one. And so I think Le'Veon Moss can step in there and become that running back one in the room for the Steelers because of his physicality. Kind of like how Jaylen Warren has done in the past, but I think Le'Veon Moss can do that and be better.
Yeah, Caleb Johnson owners just rolled over in their grave. So
I mean, at this point, though, is he even gonna do anything on?
I'm so sad, man. He had so much potential. Looks so good.
He's got talent, that's for sure, but he just does not fit in that culture, I think.
No, so. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I do like that. I think they're gonna need somebody, especially with Kenneth Gainwell leaving there. So
yep, very true. All right, number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Welcome back to Wii Golf. So number 4 would be Jaden Ott, running back from Oklahoma. Where is he at in your number of rankings?
He is my RB6.
Okay, not bad. I have him as my RB12.
Okay.
So yeah, this group I feel like was really compact and kind of close together. So yeah, 5'11", running back from Oklahoma. Tell us a little bit about him. What makes him stand out as a running back from college?
5'11", 208, 4.46 40, not bad. I think he's been on the national radar since the moment he stepped into college. He burst onto the scene at Cal as a true freshman and immediately looked like one of the most electric young runners in the country. I've had him on my C2C league, my college to Canton fantasy football league for years now. Love Jaden Ott. Every year after his freshman year, he added something new. He added more patience, more discipline, a lot more polish in the passing game as well. His transfer to Oklahoma wasn't just a change of scenery. I actually hated the transfer, but at the end, I actually ended up liking it. So at first I was like, no, I was so excited for him at Cal going into the last season, but him transferring to Oklahoma, I thought was a statement. He wanted to prove that he could thrive in a faster, more demanding offense. And I think he absolutely did. The same explosiveness he showed at Cal, transitioned seamlessly at the Big 12. He became one of the most dangerous space players in the conference. Coaches raved about his maturity, his preparation, the way he elevates, on offense with his versatility. He's been a playmaker everywhere. He's been. I think he enters the draft as one of the most naturally gifted backs in this class. I really like Jaydn Ott, and it's not because I just had him on my fantasy team for a long time.
No, you've been watching him for a while, so how much you like him. Yeah, he's a high energy runner for sure. One cut and go type of a runner, I feel like. So give me an archetype for him. What would you describe him as a running back?
He's a modern NFL space weapon. He's like I said, he's a slasher, a fluid runner who thrives when you give him room to operate. His game is built on acceleration, lateral quickness, the ability to make defenders miss without needing super dramatic cuts. I just think he's so smooth. He's got great control over his body. He transitions from patient footwork to sudden burst and absolute heartbeat. I think he's one of the best outside zone spread or tempo driven. I'm sorry, he is best. I didn't say the best. He is best in outside zone, spread, tempo driven systems. Where he can press the line, he can read leverage. He then explode into daylight. He's got efficient strides. His hips are loose. He has the rare ability to string moves together without losing speed. And then there's the receiving element as well. He's one of the most natural pass catching backs in this class. He can run real routes, track the ball downfield, turn simple touches into explosive plays. He's the definition of a modern all-purpose back, man.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely, I feel like, could be a very dynamic running back in the NFL. So speaking of him transitioning into the NFL, what do you think would be one of his biggest weaknesses when he comes into the NFL?
He is not built to run through heavy contact, I would say. He can slip through indirect hits, but I think collisions that are square are going to stall him a little bit. He's slightly on the leaner size for his frame. While I think he's very competitive, he's not someone who's going to, push piles by any means in the NFL. I think there are also moments where he tries to bounce too early. The confidence in his speed can occasionally work against him, and it's going to work against him a little bit more in the NFL where the speed is obviously faster. And in pass protection, he's willing, but he can get overwhelmed by bigger defenders as well.
Yeah.
But he's got elite acceleration, David. His lateral movement is incredibly fluid. He's got explosive receiving ability, probably second in this class behind Jeremiah Love, I would say. Open field creativity, he's got it. Strong vision and zone concepts. And I think he also finishes forward quite a bit as well. So.
Okay, well, you're making me a big fan of him, and I probably should not have ranked him so low. All right, so
no, don't take him in Dynasty. He's mine.
Shh, don't tell anyone. So when you talk about fantasy football relevancy, how does he become a relevant fantasy football player in year one? Is it so dependent on his landing spot, or is he kind of just no, he'll make it work because he's so talented?
He's going to swing fantasy matchups because of his explosiveness. He's a threat to score from anywhere on the field. And I think, like I said, his receiving ability gives him a built floor in fantasy, especially PPR formats. He's not a grinder. He's a playmaker. He's going to get 12 to 15 touches in, a creative offense. And, he'll give you RB2 production with decently spike weeks where he could probably be RB1. I think his value will skyrocket if he lands in a system that uses motion spacing, tempo, things like that to get him in open grass. But his explosiveness, his receiving ability, his open field talent are top tier. He's one of the few backs in this class who I think can legitimately change the geometry of a defense. You know, he's not as consistent between the tackles as the elite group that we talked about, but his frame limits, some of the power-based elements that push other backs, higher on my board. But for RB6 on my board, I think he fits perfectly. I'm very excited about him in fantasy.
Yeah, you're making me excited about him in fantasy, so I will be watching him closely. All right, so ideal lane, or I guess player comp is what I should say. The player comp that I've got for him would be Isaiah Pacheco. You talk about a high energy running back who's kind of just that one cut, go downhill. I'm going to try and just go. May not be, I guess Isaiah Pacheco may not be as elusive or agile as an Ott would be. But I think that like high energy, go downhill real fast type of a running back really, I think, describes him well. And so the ideal fit for him that I have would be a team where they kind of need a young running back to kind of come in and just command the room. That would be the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, Javonte Williams had a really good comeback year last year for the Cowboys and was a really fantasy relevant running back, which was great to see because he had so much potential when he came out. But I think they really need a young running back to come in and be like, hey, I'm the running back of this team now. And I think Jaden Ott has the potential to do that. The Cowboys have really been trying to find a good young running back for a while, and I think Jaden Ott could be the one for them.
Didn't they just extend Javonte Williams?
I think so, but I think it was only like a 2-year deal, but I could be wrong.
3-year, $24 million, $6 million signing bonus, $16 million guaranteed. Not awful. I mean, but I mean, obviously it's naive to think that they're not going to add to that room, but maybe he could steal it from Javonte. Javonte did have a great year last year, though, especially at the beginning of the season.
True, but he's also a little injury prone, so
that's true.
Yeah. All right, shall we get into our next sponsor?
Let's do it, bro.
All right. So, as I've said before, we are growing here at the Inside Edge Network, and so we're so excited that we have the ability to talk through so many sponsorships. But our next one here is going to be sportsmemorabilia.com. Whether you're searching for a baseball autographed by your favorite World Series slugger, a signed football by an iconic Hall of Famer, or the jersey of a world-famous soccer star, you've come to the right place. Here at sportsmemorabilia.com, the world's leading source of authentic sports memorabilia, you'll find more than 500,000 authentic products from nearly every professional sports league, team, and players. Not only will you find the next prized sports possession with ease, thanks to superb customer experience and service and tremendous site experience, you'll have the satisfaction and peace of mind that every product listed comes complete with a certificate of authenticity and is fully backed by sportsmemorabilia.com's lifetime authenticity guarantee. So go ahead and head to sportsmemorabilia.com to get your collection started today. The link is up on the screen for you right now as well. And the QR code has been changed, so you can click on that to get there as well. All right, are we ready for number 5?
Shout out to them, by the way. They're awesome.
They are awesome.
Let's do number 5, bro.
Number 5.
Number 5.
That one's my favorite one. All right, number 5, running back Mike Washington Jr., running back from Arkansas.
What's he for you?
Huh?
What's he ranked on your board?
Number 8.
Number 7 on mine. So perfect. Right there.
Look at us. We're in sync today. Bye.
Stop
I
it.
knew you were thinking it. All right, so give us a little breakdown on who Mike Washington Jr. is from Arkansas. What was his college career like? How was he?
6'1", 225. He ended up running a 4.33 40, which is crazy. Wow. Definitely snapped some heads there at the combine. Mike Washington Jr., one of the most physically imposing backs in this entire class, I think. And his path reflects that toughness. He started at New Mexico State, where he immediately flashed into a volume-capable downhill runner who didn't shy away from contact. When he transferred to Arkansas, the level of competition jumped, and instead of fading, he elevated his game to even, to become a more dynamic back. In the SEC, he proved that he can handle NFL caliber fronts week after week. I think his tape is full of, violent finishes, second effort runs, and moments where he simply out-muscled defenders. Coaches at both programs praise his maturity, He's got great work ethic and, the physical edge he brought to the offense. He's the type of back he sets the tone. He sets the tone for, I think, the entire unit. He enters this draft as one of the most battle-tested runners in this class. A guy who, has taken real hits, delivered plenty of his own too. He loves the hit on tape, man. It's fun to watch. And, has shown that he can thrive in the toughest conference in college football. So, other than the Big Ten. Well.
Yeah, he's got a good combo of speed and power, which I feel like is kind of rare for a class of running backs. But it was really, really fun to see in his tape. So how does this player fit into an archetype?
He's a downhill hammer, bro. He's compact again. He's a thick built runner who wants to get north immediately. And I think he forces defenders to deal with his mass too. I think his style is rooted in power, balance, controlled aggression, a little bit of speed. I didn't see that much speed on tape. That's a crazy 40, but he keeps his pads low. He stays square and drives through contact like he's trying to send a message to the defense. He's going to be great in gap and duo concepts, where he likes to be physical and where the physicality is going to ramp up. He presses the line with patience. He's going to wait for that crease to open and gonna explode through that crease violently, brother. I think he's got great compact footwork. His base is pretty sturdy as well, and he rarely gets knocked off his tracks. He's not going to be the flashy guy again, but he's brutally effective. He's going to force missed tackles through sheer force and become more dangerous, I think, as the game wears on and defenders get tired as well. So.
Yeah, I agree. He's got a very, very high motor too. His feet are always moving and churning to get those extra yards. So what would you think would be one of his weaknesses as he transitions to the NFL?
He's not natural in space. He's an okay receiver. He's not going to, be someone that you're going to flex out and have design mismatches for. I saw serviceable long speed. But I never really saw him run away from, safeties or corners too much. But obviously the combine showed that he has got that speed. So hopefully he can translate that speed into the NFL a little bit more than he did in Arkansas. He's not very creative as well as a runner, but he just likes to punish defenders. As I said, his contact balance is absolutely elite. He's going to absorb every hit like they're nothing. He's going to try to stay upright through every collision. That it's probably going to drop, I would say, 80% of the running backs in the NFL. His lower half is incredibly powerful, which is going to be great for leg drive. Think, red zone, tight spaces, short yardage, stuff like that. He's going to be great. He's got good processing as well. And like I said, his footwork is very compact and efficient too. So
yeah, I agree. So why does this matter for fantasy football? How can he be relied upon for this upcoming football year?
He's going to have to become a more reliable contributor in the passing game. He's not awful, but he's not one of these guys who, especially with his, size. He's a strong protector, but his receiving skills are certainly limited. And I think that could, cap his snap share early in his career. I think he's the type of back who becomes fantasy relevant because he's going to be trustworthy. I've said that a lot, but these bigger guys, we've talked about a few of them. They're built for volume and short yardage work, and that is huge because they're not going to take so much of a beating because they're built for volume because of their size, and they're going to be decently good in the red zone, or at least get the opportunities to score in the red zone. He's got to land in a physical, run-centric offense, but it's hard to place him. I don't know. I really like him. I think he's fast. I think he could be the kind of player that's not super flashy on draft night. But again, probably, I don't know, if you're looking at dynasty rookie draft, he's probably going to be a late second round, early third round pick, but he could, his speed and size, if he could develop some pass catching skills or maybe a little better route tree, he could be really, really effective in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. He could be really, really effective. And I agree with you. He needs to go to the right landing spot to be really effective. But I think the one that I picked could be sneakily good for him.
Okay.
And so you talked about like his high motor, his willingness to embrace the contact, rare combo of speed and power. The comp that I have for him, and this might be a throwback to some, if you played fantasy football long enough, you'd know this name, but would be Jay Ajayi.
It's not even that long ago, brother.
I feel like it's been over 10 years, hasn't it?
I don't know. Not even that long, but yeah, okay.
Oh, I feel like it has been. But yeah, Jay Ajayi, somebody who had that speed and was also kind of a strong, powerful runner. I feel like his NFL career was kind of just like really short-lived and really just a flash, and that was it. But he was really dynamic and was kind of a favorite for fantasy football for like a year or two. And so I feel like Mike Washington can kind of eclipse a little bit of that with his abilities. And so an ideal landing spot that I've got for him would be the Houston Texans. You talk about a running back room that's kind of still trying to figure it out. Yes, they traded for David Montgomery, who's a very similar runner, I feel like, to Mike Washington. He's got that breakaway speed. He's got that power and willingness to get those yards. But he's also kind of on the tail end of his career, probably. Getting up there in age a little bit, has a lot of wear and tear on those tires. And so the Houston Texans might be looking for the next kind of David Montgomery type, and Mike Washington Jr. just might be it.
I don't hate it. Jay Ajayi has last played in 2019, retired in 2022, so not that long ago.
Feels like
don't make me feel that old, brother.
I feel that old. All right. Well, shall we get into our last prospect?
Let's do it, man. These people are tired of hearing us talk.
Number six.
We've got our last running back. That is Roman Hemby, running back from Indiana. All right, where is he ranked at for you?
My RB 14.
14? All right, he's my running back 15. So we're
right
similar.
There. Nice.
I like it. But yeah, give us a little breakdown on Hemby. He was a running back from Indiana. But what did his college career look like? Because I know he wasn't there the whole time.
He was one of the more polished, steady backs in this class, I think. A player who's been productive everywhere he's been. I talk about this a lot, but a lot of these guys who go to lower programs at the beginning are productive, then move on, and then obviously we're talking about them now. They've been productive at their bigger programs because we're talking about them in the NFL draft. Started at Maryland. I think he became the centerpiece early of their offense, and then obviously transferred to Indiana, where I think he stepped right into a featured role without missing a beat. His game is always built on efficiency, versatility, vision. I think what stands out. It's getting late apparently. Stands out most about Roman Hemby is how mature his approach is. I don't think he's a boom or bust runner. He's a technician. He understands spacing. He understands leverage. He understands how to stay on schedule. Coaches have been, raved about his IQ, especially with football IQ. He's got incredible preparation, and he always handles volume without wearing down, which I think is important going to the next level. I think he's the type of back who doesn't need a spotlight to be effective. Just, quietly stack productive snaps and keep the offense moving kind of guy. So
yeah, I like the word you use there, quietly stacks production. Like he is just a reliable running back. He's just sneakily good. He's not going to wow you, but he's just consistent and reliable, which is why coaches probably love him. So when you talk about his archetype, let's break that down a little bit more. How would you describe his style of play?
He's smooth. He's another glider, man. He has got efficient strides. He's a stride efficient runner who thrives when he can operate in space. His style is built on pacing, on vision, the ability to transition from patient footwork to, very fast, acceleration, while maintaining his balance. He's not going to be one of those heavy hitting bruiser running backs. And he's also not necessarily a jitterbug either. But he has great rhythm. And he's going to win with timing and fluidity. I think he fits beautifully in spread systems where you can press the line, maybe outside zone as well. Read leverage. You can make decisive, one cut transitions. His acceleration is clean. His hips are relatively loose, I would say, and he's got decent long speed, to open lanes and to chunk plays as well. And then I think, he's one of the best receivers in this draft as well. Natural pass catching,
Yep.
One of the biggest ones in this draft in terms of backs.
Yeah.
He's got great ball tracking ability. He has a great route tree as well for a running back. There's a couple in these tiers here who I love that have great route trees and great hands. And he's going to be a problem when he gets open field as well. So
yeah, I agree. And I guess that leads into my next question is, do you think that's going to be like just the only way he's going to be fantasy relevant is like PPR leagues just receiving, or do you feel like there's more to his game than that?
We talk about, quietly, I think he's going to be a sneaky fantasy asset. He checks a lot of boxes. Like I said, he is a natural receiver, and that's where he's probably going to be the most relevant in fantasy. He's efficient in space, and he's the kind of player that, like I said, coaches trust on passing downs. That alone is going to give him a decent path to early downs, I think. He's not going to give you huge 60, 70-yard touchdowns every week, but he's going to give you relatively steady production. Receptions, chunk gains. He's going to be great on screens, consistent usage in space-driven offenses. And PPR, as you said, he does bring real value. A flex RB3 maybe, who can slide into your lineup without hesitation. If he lands in the system that leans on outside zone and uses the running back in the passing game, he could easily outperform his draft slot by a huge way.
Yeah, I agree. So the comp that I've got for him is somebody else who's sneakily good in the running game, but is very dynamic as a receiving running back. We've mentioned his name before on this podcast. Do you want to guess who he is?
I have no idea.
Kenneth Gainwell, running back who was on the Steelers. I forget where he is at now, but a dynamic. Wait, where is he at?
Tampa? Am I wrong?
That sounds right to me. But yeah, a running back who's really dynamic as a receiver, but is also sneakily good in the running game. He's really loved by coaches. He's just a reliable player. Okay, good, Tampa. But yeah, he's just sneakily good in the running game and I just think loved by coaches because he does what the coaches need him to do. And so I think Roman Hemby really just encapsulates everything about Kenneth Gainwell's game and embodies it and makes it look the same in my mind.
That's my favorite comp you've had. So
thank you. I like that one. So the ideal landing spot that I've got for him would be a team where they've got a workhorse running back already, but they need somebody to come in and be more of a receiving threat at running back. And so for that, I would pick the Las Vegas Raiders. They have already got their workhorse running back in Ashton Jeanty, who's a stud. And yes, Ashton Jeanty can play in the receiving game, but he's not where he's at his best. And so I think you can get somebody like a Roman Hemby to come in there, be that receiving back, be that best friend for a check down quarterback that they're going to have their first year. And guess what? They played together in college too. That's going to work out well. And so I think Las Vegas Raiders would be really, really lucky and fortunate if they got a player like Roman Hemby to come in and be that running back 2, maybe running back 3.
I'll keep my comments to myself about Ashton Jeanty.
Oh, I like Ashton Jeanty. He's good.
Yeah, he's a great Rashad Penny 2.0.
Okay, fair enough. Well, there you have it. We broke down all of our 6 players: Damon Claiborne, Seth McGowan, Le'Veon Moss, Jaden Ott, Mike Washington Jr., and Roman Hemby. So, Moss, I got one last question for you before we close up here. But who do you think has the best chance to shock the world from this group and become very fantasy relevant in year 1?
Give me Le'Veon Moss.
Le'Veon Moss. You heard it
in this class. Not this class, sorry. In this
6 group of 6.
Yes, excuse me. That would be stupid to say if it's not my class.
But yeah, this group of 6. All right, Le'Veon Moss. You've heard it here
first,
ladies and gentlemen. I'm probably going to go This is a tough one. I'm going to go with Mike Washington Jr., I think.
I love Jaden Ott too. That was a hard one for me.
So. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of too. But I'm going to go with Washington Jr. I just like the speed that he had.
Of course, you are a combine darling. You love combines. You see a fat guy run a fat 40, and you're like, oh, I want him on the Browns as my left tackle at 2nd overall, whatever. All right, read W real quick.
All right, we got one last sponsor, and that would be W Energy Drinks. Are you looking for an energy drink that does not crash your day? Well, I'm here to talk to you about W Energy Drinks. Clean energy, bold flavors, no jitters, and no crash. Helps you lock in and focus. See why people won't shut up about W at w.gg. That is the actual website, w.gg.
W.gg is the website.
Yep. It is. There are over 15 flavors to choose from. Be sure to use a promo code InsideEdge10 to save 10% off your order. Again, that's InsideEdge10 to save 10% today. And it's on the screen as well.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening to us. Again, if you are not following us on Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, if you're not subscribed to us on podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you get your podcast from, please go ahead and subscribe and follow us. Turn on automatic downloads because we're trying to get you an edge up into the fantasy football world for next season.
Yeah, man. Also, a huge thank you again to Monster Moments Photography. Monster Moments Photography is a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland, owned and operated by Ryan and Hallie Monster, myself and my wife. For the past 10 years, they've captured more than 100 weddings across Northeast Ohio and beyond, always working together as a true two-person team. Their style centers around authentic, emotional storytelling, documenting the real moments between two people in love and creating images that feel natural, comfortable, and true to the couple. Rooted in Northern Ohio, but inspired by their travels, Ryan and Hallie bring a warm, personal approach to every wedding day. The work blends experience, consistency, and a genuine passion for helping couples relive their best day through timeless photography. Learn more at monstermomentsphotography.com. That's MOSSOR, momentsphotography.com. Also, real quick, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, but there were only like 25 people in here, and now there's much more. So before we wrap up tonight's show, I want to share something a little different, something personal, something that means a lot to me and my family. My son, James, my 4-year-old son, is taking part in the Ranger Rick Junior Ranger competition. And if you never heard of it, it's, this incredible program that highlights, kids who genuinely love the outdoors and the natural world. And let me tell you, that is James to a T. He's 4 years old, and he talks about animals with the excitement and detail that just blows me away. Whether we're hiking, flipping over logs, or just walking through the backyard, he's pointing out, animal tracks, naming species, explaining things I don't even know. It's who he is. Voting for the competition is open right now. David, if you want to put the QR code, you can support him if you like to be part of his journey. Please just scan that QR code. We made it really simple. The QR code is available on all on my socials. Also, I've been posting videos. If you see him talking about animals, or the link is there as well. You can vote once for free every single day, so I'm not asking for anything but your time here, guys. You can scan that or go to my Twitter at DynastyCLE. That's DynastyCLE. I'll retweet it right now. So it's the last tweet that is up there, but you just click the link, and please, if you just take the time to just go vote real quick for me, I'd really, really appreciate it. If a lot of people have spoken about how they've enjoyed hearing about him talk, or, just want to help, if you want to help a kid who truly loves nature, chase something that fits him perfectly, we'd be, incredibly grateful again. I'm going to retweet that right now. So on my Twitter at DynastyCLE, please go check it out and vote for me. It's completely
Go vote for James. He deserves it.
He does, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is a wrap on running back group number 2. How you feeling?
Yes. Good, man. Fun, excited. Next week, we are going to break down, we're going to keep pushing forward. We're going to bring out 6 new names, new evaluations, I'd say debates, but David usually just agrees with everything I say, I guess. So I don't know.
Right,
so probably
I'll
not
bring
debate.
the arguments next week.
Yeah, whatever. And we're gonna get just deeper in this class, guys. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. The board's gonna open even more. We're gonna continue with running backs. We're gonna do 6 more. The running backs are Ruben Owens, the second, the running back out of Texas A&M, Terrion Stewart, the running back out of Virginia Tech, Jam Miller, the running back out of Alabama, Quinnen Joyner, running back out of Texas Tech, Desmond Reed, the running back out of Pitt, and then CJ Donaldson, the running back out of the Ohio State University. So as always, thank you for, spending a part of your night with us, guys. Thank you for supporting the show. As David said, please go on all of our socials, go on everywhere you can find podcasts. We're going to be there. Please like, subscribe, give us a 5-star review. Go above and beyond. We really greatly appreciate it. Thanks for jumping in the comments and helping this community grow. It means so much more than you know. For David Cahoon, follow him at David Cahoon 24. I'm Ryan Mosser. You can find me at Dynasty CLE. Please, again, go on my Twitter right now and vote for James. That would be incredible. I'd greatly appreciate it. This has been the Commissioner's Couch Fantasy Football Podcast. We will see you next week with 6 more running backs. Rest up, stay locked in, and keep grinding, that tape because, we're just going to keep going. We're really excited. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week.